Martians, all those loving Marty and guitar jams, and that love the links below. We're going to teach a kind of Panama-esque song. YouTube is not friendly to those who like being taught Van Halen, so what we're going to do is teach you something like Van Halen, but not Van Halen. So I'm going to teach you some muting, some open string stuff, maybe a harmonic or two, some real basic Van Halen-esque things. So let's check it out. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to go over is palm muting. It's really helpful with any of these kind of rock sounds. All you do is you go where your bridge is, right here, right there, and you put the meat of your palm right here, right about where the string comes over the bridge, so it just gently rests on there. Now, depending on how much of a muted sound you want, if you want it real light or real heavy, light, heavy, you can just move your palm just a little bit forward or backwards, and a little more pressure or a little less pressure. Now, the more pressure you put on it, the less that the strings will ring out, so it's good for real percussive attack kind of stuff. And then if you want more of that ringing string, just have a real light touch over the strings. And that also works good for when you're doing lead stuff. To help reduce the string noise of the other strings. There's more at play when you do leads. You know, you want to use other parts of this hand as well as this hand together to mute out those strings, but we'll talk about that later. So, and that last thing I was doing some 5 chords, which just means you're playing the root note. We're going to take it on E, which is the 7th fret, and the 9th fret of the D string. And we're just going to play the root and the 5th of the chord. And then I'm just pedaling back and forth between the chord and the open E string with mutes. And then I'm just going to, on some of the chords, I did the same thing, but now I keep my 3rd finger also on the G string, 9th fret, and I'll put my middle finger on the 8th fret of the G string sometimes. So you get the... Also, you can bar all of the strings, or at least the D, G, and B strings with your 3rd finger and sneak in for suspended chords on the 10th fret here. So you're really I just hit basically 2 at a time. You know, you don't need to have the whole chord ringing, just the part of the chord ringing. So you can just be real punchy. And then I just moved it down 2 frets, a whole step. Now when I do that, those are called artificial harmonics or pinch harmonics. And what you're going to do is, with your pick hand, you're going to get a little of your thumb and a little of the pick at the string at the same time. Now depending on where you place the pick on the string, you'll get different harmonics. So right, so really experiment with all those different kind placements you can get. Oftentimes you'll get a lot if you have a Strat over this pickup right here. There'll be some good ones. Or if you have another humbucker, you know, right in between the humbuckers. Where you really have to play around with the harmonics is when you get into the lower strings. Because it really has a big sound difference. And they're a little bit harder to get, just for me, on the lower strings, the bass strings. So there's that. And then also there's the chord I hit, which would be a C-sharp minor chord. But in this case, I'm going to let the bottom strings ring open. So you're going to have 4, 6, 6, and then 5 on the B, and then open E. And then I'm just going to do that muting I was talking about earlier. With just a normal A chord. And then a lot of times you'll see me hit those E chords. I do play the traditional style E chord like this, with the first finger on the 3rd G string, 1st fret, and then 2nd finger on the A, 2nd, and then tuck this finger in here on the D string. But what I really like to do is play this E chord without the 3rd. If you take off this, it would be an E minor chord, and you get this sign. You know, real, you know, more moody, sad, depressing. I'm sad and it hurts so bad. So anyways, what I do is I like to take that 3rd out and let these bottom 2 ring open. It just sounds super rock. Okay, and then there's one other thing in the Van Halen-esque bag, which would be the harmonics. The actual harmonics on the guitar neck. You can do them, and these really help with distortion, over the 5th fret. And what you're going to do is you're going to mute over the 5th fret. You're not going to press down, you're just going to barely touch the string. That also works over the 7th fret, and then the 12th fret as well. They're actually all over the place, but those are the easiest ones to hit. You can hit them all over. You can get them on the 4th fret. And like I said, play around with those. Distortion really helps. They sound great clean too. You can clean them up. But they just sound great with distortion. And then also one last thing is tapped harmonics. This is a little bit trickier, but I'll give you a real quick demo. So what you can do is, say you're on the let's just take a D string, A string down version. So you got 5, 7, 7. If you go up an octave on the fretboard, which would be this 17, 19, 19, and you tap right above that fret, you'll get tapped harmonics, which are awesome. Now you can do that also if you just take, let's say I'm going to be on the 7th fret, you can play around with it and just see if you can find them all over. And then don't forget the infamous Pic Slide. Pic Slide's pretty self-explanatory. Pic Slide. Also playing that style of music, get really friendly with your volume knob. I always use it with my pinky, so you can get all sorts of different sounds as far as distortion or cleaning a song up. You know, you can come in real hard. hold down the knob. Even a little farther, and you can basically get it to where it's almost clean. This works great, you know, if you have two guitar players in the band, but if you're the only guitar player, it's really great because when you're at a club and it's mic'd up and stuff like that, it saves you from having to tap dance all over your pedal board during one song. So you can really just focus on playing, and your hands basically already right there muting, like we talked about earlier. And I just have my finger basically, I kind of keep my finger rested, anchored on the pick guard anyways a lot when I'm playing rhythm, just to keep me from flailing all about. My volume knob is right here, so it's really easy to... And then you can switch pickups, and it sounds all... So there you have it, all the Van Halen-esque style. Not Van Halen, but close to Van Halen techniques. Guitar jams, Marty rocks. Always watch. He is good to you.